Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Gem Live and welcome back to another video. And yes, we have another setup. This is like the 6th in a row. I'm actually on vacation in Florida right now, so this might be the setup for a little bit, but I'm trying to find a better one, but for now it'll do. But I really want to make this video about Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence because this is perfect timing. College football season is coming to a close. They're finished up their last few games, and there's a very good chance that these two quarterbacks are actually going to meet in the college football playoffs again. And so what I want to go over is who should get drafted first, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields? Does it really matter at what team it is, or different quarterbacks can be better for different teams? And with this video, I really don't want to go over about how amazing they are because I'm sure you guys have seen a ton of videos, ton of Clemson games, Ohio State games, all the highlights. You know how good these two are. It's kind of 1A and 1B, so I'm really going to be splitting hairs here and looking and focusing more on the cons and what they can improve and work on going into the NFL and who you should take first. So enjoy. All right, so first we're gonna get started with Trevor Lawrence, and we're gonna go over the pros first. I know you guys have heard probably a lot about this. You know how good he is. He's an amazing prospect, but we're gonna glimpse over some of the highlighted features for him going into the draft. So first of all, he is 6'6", 230 pounds. So not only does he have an NFL-ready body, he has an NFL-ready arm. He can sling it. He can make all the NFL throws. And he was a little bit skinnier going into Clemson, but this is his third year now. He's definitely been in the weight room. He's going to be able to take some punishment, and he's probably going to need to because he's going to be on a very bad team with a really bad line. And he was all the rave freshman year. And not only that, but his trajectory has only gotten better. His completion percentage, yards, interception, and average throw distance per attempt has gone up every single year. So not only was he all the rave and crazy, won the national championship, but he keeps getting better. And with the national championship, that's huge too, because a lot of quarterbacks who have elite talent can't win that big game. Example, Phillip Rivers. Could Phillip Rivers make the Hall of Fame? He has Hall of Fame numbers, but he has consistently underperformed in the playoffs, never won a Super Bowl, never even really came close. So he really does have that going for him. And he is probably the best NFL prospect since Andrew Luck. Everyone's been saying this. He's been putting up insane numbers. He's just NFL ready. He probably could have been in the NFL like after high school, and that is, you can't say that for many people. And Andrew Luck is kind of a fair comparison because he's not like a mobile quarterback, but he is elusive enough, he is fast enough where he has like sneaky legs. I would say like Joe Burrow's the same way. You can do a few quarterback designed runs. He's not Kyler Murray, he's not Lamar Jackson, not Deshaun Watson, but he is going to be able to pick up third and shorts with his legs. He's going to be able to extend plays, make plays on the run. So I would say those are the biggest thing Trevor Lawrence has going for him. Now we're going to get into the things that worry me about Trevor Lawrence. We're really going to be splitting hairs here because he is such a complete player, but there are things. Nobody's perfect, and these are the things that I've found going over statistics, watching several Clemson's games, and going over a lot of his film, what I've seen from him. And the first one isn't even necessarily his fault, but he doesn't run the pro-style offense. It could be third and goal on the half-yard line. Clemson's still going to be in shotgun. That is not the case in the NFL. There's no team that runs shotgun that much. Even Lamar Jackson is under center a lot of the time, doing play action, under center a lot. So like Russell Wilson did at Wisconsin, he's not going to have that, so he's going to have to adjust to taking a three-step drop under center, reading defenses from under the center, and overall just being comfortable not being in shotgun all the time. Another thing is we can rave about his arm strength because it is insane. He can throw missiles. He's so accurate over the middle. But the thing is he only throws fastballs. I really don't see him unless, I'm not talking about like a 50-yard bomb where you have to, but if I don't really see all these touch passes like between linebackers and safeties. In the flats, it's going to be a bullet no matter what. He's not lobbing it over everyone. And that could be an issue because you really, really need to change it up because if you're just throwing, it's going to be way easier to read. And people that can change the trajectory of the ball and the speed of the ball really give defenses problems because they can make that many more throws because the windows can actually extend sometimes when you can get it there later and not hold on to the ball longer. Also, something that also isn't his fault, but we have to keep into account is since he's been in college, he's had in his conference and pretty much the whole national or college football, he's had the best coach, the best offensive line, the best defense. He's had the best running game in ACC history. ETN has put up historical numbers, not only in the ACC, but collegiately. So he has this solid run game, which really, really opens up the passing game. And he's been able to put up 50 to 70 points consistently on bad teams. And another thing I do have to give the edge over to Justin Fields is Trevor Lawrence does play in the ACC. The Big Ten is a much stronger conference. I would love to see Trevor Lawrence in the SEC playing those games more consistently. And even like this year, when they did play only ACC games, I have to count it against him because he didn't play against Notre Dame. He had COVID, that wasn't his fault. But those are like really big games. We really don't see big games from Trevor Lawrence until we get to the playoffs. And he performs great, but Justin Fields is playing Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Indiana, like all these Big Ten schools, Iowa, like all these like really, really talented schools week in and week out. And Trevor Lawrence just doesn't have that. I mean, a lot of these things aren't his fault, but they are things we have to look at when we're analyzing him in the draft. Like, can he do this? Can he do this? And the last thing I would say is he needs to slide better. It looks so unnatural, especially because more than likely he's going to be on the team like the Jets or Jaguars. Not a good offensive line. Joe Burrow found this out very early, getting hit more than any other quarterback in the league because Joe Burrow didn't know how to slide. At LSU, he was able to just kind of like stumble forward, take very like small hits, but in the NFL, that is not the case. Joe Burrow found us out very soon, and there's even like a really funny clip of him talking to the ref, like, and the ref telling him, like, you need to learn how to slide. He's like, I'm working on it, because it just looks really unnatural, and that's probably because with like Justin Fields, who's a lot better at sliding, he played baseball, he played other sports. I think Trevor Lawrence was more of a football-centered guy, and so it just doesn't look as natural. He does have a really big frame, a tall center of gravity, but he really needs to work on that because he is such an amazing prospect, and we would hate, I mean, just like Joe Burrow, his season ended early with an ACL tear. We would hate to see Trevor Lawrence get hurt his first year and just waste a lot of potential because of a trait he didn't work on when he definitely should have. Okay, now talking about Justin Fields. So we're going to talk about kind of like his physical attributes first because he is a very good size for a quarterback as well. He's 6'3", 230 pounds. So he is 3 inches shorter than Trevor Lawrence, but he has the same weight. So he is a little bit of a more built frame, has some more muscle, has some more stocky, lower center of gravity. He looks like he could be an NFL quarterback. We're not dealing with like a Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, where you're worried about any of these guys' size going in because they are physically ready for the NFL. And also he's more of a dual threat quarterback because they actually do a lot of designed runs for him. I'd say he's more elusive. He's faster than Trevor Lawrence. And so I would compare him more to like a Russell Wilson. I would say Russell Wilson's definitely a dual threat quarterback. He doesn't have the blazing speed, but he can definitely bust out like a 50-yard run, which is really good. And also he doesn't take many hits, which I really notice. And the more and more I look at it, the more he reminds me of Russell Wilson because he does play in a more pro-style offense, which is another thing I love about Justin Fields. Ohio State does spread the ball. They'll go 5 wide, but they'll also go like 3 tight end, which is amazing. It's going to help them out. And using tight ends in the NFL is huge. We see teams thrive using their tight ends. We see the Kansas City Chiefs. We see the Ravens. We see the 49ers just like really utilizing these tight ends, and that's been more of an emphasis for Justin Fields at his time at Ohio State. And we can only look at his 2 years because he was back up to Jake Fromm at Georgia his freshman year. He's been at Ohio State the last 2 years, and what I have to say, if we compare their numbers from the past 2 years, so it's even, Justin Fields take care of the ball better than Trevor Lawrence does. He has 1 more touchdown and 4 less interceptions. So Justin Fields has 58 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Trevor Lawrence has 57 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. And I would say he does have more of a changeup. So as I talked earlier with Trevor Lawrence only throwing fastballs, not only does Justin Fields have a huge arm, very, very similar to Russell Wilson. And I keep going back to this Russell Wilson comparison, but he has one of the best deep balls. I would say Trevor Lawrence has kind of been known more to leave the deep ball short. But Justin Fields rarely misses a deep ball, and he has Chris Olave. He has some amazing new talent, and that is kind of going into the cons. This is the best team in the conference. They have the best recruiting class every year. They have the best coach in the conference. They have the best defense in the conference. So can we really hold that against them, even though Justin Fields plays better competition than Trevor Lawrence does? I mean, they do have the best teams, and they're mopping the floor with the teams where if you kind of put any quarterback, they're going to win games. But especially if you have like these A+ quarterbacks, it's just unfair for all these other college programs. One thing I would say about Justin Fields, though, is we kind of get this comparison of whether we can see a quarterback if we're like, oh, he's definitely an NFL quarterback, or if their game only translates to college football. And these are two NFL-ready quarterbacks, but if I had to pick one who was just made for the NFL, is definitely Trevor Lawrence. I would say Justin Fields has more of the potential to be a great college quarterback and kind of struggle more in the NFL, but it's very, very close. I don't think either of them are going to struggle, but I would say that he has more potential to be a college quarterback. And they actually did face off head-to-head. This was an amazing game. It was the most exciting games of last year. I really wish this was the national championship or I wish I could see Ohio State and just do like 2 national championships, because Clemson kind of got wiped out by LSU. I would love to see what Justin Fields could have done against Joe Burrow in the national championship. But this game was so close, and Justin Fields did lose the head-to-head matchup against Trevor Lawrence. They both played amazing. Justin Fields did have 2 interceptions. One of them was not his fault. It went right off of Chris Olave's hands, got picked off, and that's how they lost the game. So if he grabs on there in the national championship, there was a very, very, very bad call, I believe, for a catch, hit, fumble, where Ohio State got a touchdown wiped off the board. Clemson went down and scored, and so I don't know. I really think Ohio State should have won that game, but I could say that Trevor Lawrence did outduel Justin Fields in that game, so that is definitely a pro for Trevor Lawrence. And also something we kind of have to look at is he did have a knee problem last year. It doesn't look to be bothering him at all this year, but Trevor Lawrence has stayed very healthy. I don't think he's missed any games due to injury. But Justin Fields, I don't think he missed any games, but you could definitely tell at the back end of the season he was definitely lingering. If that happened early on in the season, who knows, a more catastrophic injury could have happened. And so I don't know if he's injury prone. I don't know his injuries throughout high school or if he's dealt with anything. But if he does have that knee injury, and that can be very, very scary when you're looking for your franchise quarterback, because we see people like Carson Wentz who just cannot stay healthy. He was playing at MVP level when he had a good team. I honestly want to make a video on Carson Wentz because he's getting so much slander, and a lot of it is his fault. He needs to be playing a lot better, but I really think people are being unfair with with how people are critiquing him so hard. But yeah, we really need to watch out this knee injury. So that's the end of the cons. Okay, so some of my final thoughts. This does not remind me of like an Andrew Luck RG3 where they're so different. Can you go with the guy from Stanford who run the pro style offense, or you go with the Heisman Trophy winner, big play RG3? I think these guys are both very, very NFL ready. I would compare Trevor Lawrence more to Andrew Luck. I would compare Justin Fields more to Russell Wilson. So both, I feel like, are going to make immediate impacts for some very bad teams. And these are both number 1 overall quarterbacks. I think it's 1A, 1B if you really want to split hairs. But if these guys are in 2 different drafts, they're both going number 1. It's just really unfortunate that one of them isn't going to be able to get that, not knowing they won't be the number 1 overall pick. But in any other draft, these guys would both be number 1 picks because they are playing at a ridiculous historic level in college football. So who would you take number 1 overall? And for me, since it's so close, splitting hairs, watching film, it's almost so hard to tell. But I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence based on presence alone. Because what Trevor Lawrence has that Justin Fields doesn't, he has this aura about him. I feel more so when Trevor Lawrence gets on the field, they have that same feeling like Cam Newton, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes has when he steps out. You just feel like you're going to win. You have this 6'6", 230-pound quarterback with long hair, all the confidence in the world, national champion. I just feel like that does bring something. And I really think that is the only thing that puts him over the edge. They both have about the same amount of pros and cons to them. I would really, really love to see them both do super well. But I do think, and as it stands now, the Jets would have the number 1 overall pick and the Jaguars would have the 2nd overall pick. So if the Jets pick Trevor Lawrence, I feel terrible for him because they're not even, so not only are they 0-11 right now or 0-12, they haven't really even been close to winning a game. They're getting blown out. It's embarrassing. But what's going to happen is they are going to get a new coach this year. I really hope they do have like a preseason and OTAs because that really did hurt rookie quarterbacks this year, and it did hurt quarterbacks for new teams in general, aka Tom Brady. I think he is having a very, very good year considering that he didn't have that, and we can go into that another time. But he's going to have even less help than Joe Burrow did because Joe Burrow went and found an immediate safety blanket in AJ Green, and they drafted T. Higgins. So he had 2 really good, and the Bengals offensive line is not good. I'm not going to say they're amazing, but they're not horrible. They have a decent run game. So even though Joe Burrow's getting beaten up this year, he's been able to compete in games, but I really just don't even think the Jets are close to competing. I don't think they're going to win anytime soon. I do think they're going to get new management, and I know their GM that is coming back is really high on Jim Harbaugh, hiring the coach from Michigan, and that would be very interesting. So Jim Harbaugh gets another shot in the NFL. That's a Super Bowl not winning coach, but he made it to the Super Bowl, so he does know how to coach at the highest level. If he can turn that team around, because they lost Jamal Adams, they're losing their linebackers, like it's just a mess in New York. So I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1 overall, and I feel even worse for him than I did for Joe Burrow last year. On the other hand, I actually wouldn't mind seeing Justin Fields on the Jaguars, because even though the Jaguars are really struggling this year, I think they only have 1 win. They are a well-run organization, and they're kind of tanking, and you can definitely tell because they were a 1 drive away from being in the Super Bowl like 4 years ago. They constructed an amazing defense. They had a good offensive line, a good running back. Blake Bortles was awful. So if Justin Fields was on that team, do they beat the Patriots? Does Tom Brady not even have the chance to go on that game-winning drive and get another Super Bowl win? I don't know. So the Jaguars beat the Colts. People are talking about the Colts so highly, and we forget that the Jaguars actually beat them. And a lot of the games that they lost have actually been really close. And listen to these teams. They were very close, and what I mean by close is was within 1 score. So if they scored 1 more time, they would have won the game. They were super close with the Titans, the Bengals, the Texans, the Packers, and the Browns. And then the Chargers, they lost by 10, but that game was a little bit closer than it seemed on the scoreboard. But so that is 5, no, that's actually 6 very, very good teams that they almost beat. And if they had that quarterback, and now when you have a franchise quarterback, you're not looking to tank anymore. You're looking to help him out as much as possible. And I think they have a much better opportunity, because they are so much better ran than the Jets, to actually get him that help. And so I think Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1. I think Justin Fields is going to go number 2. If I'm Justin Fields, I'm not that sad about not being the number 1 overall pick, even though it is a very, very big accomplishment. And we talk about the number 1 overall picks all the time. I think he's going to be a much better situation, because if you ask Tua if he would want to be the number 1 overall pick or be number 5 and be on the Dolphins, he would pick the Dolphins 100 times over. Amazingly coached, up-and-coming team. They're probably going to make the playoffs this year, have the potential to make the wild card. So I really think that Justin Fields is going to come out better in this, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think my analysis was right, if you think I under or overplayed any of the pros and cons for either of them, and who do you think should go number 1, or do you think it depends? Do you think the Jets say we want a more mobile, elusive quarterback, or do you think it not matters? Do you think Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields is the clear cut, should go number 1 overall? Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe, share with your friends. Let's get everyone involved in this conversation. I cannot wait for the college football playoffs. I really hope they face off against each other, and I really hope it's in the national championship this year, because that would be so cool for the number 1 and 2 pick to play in the national championship. Have a great day, guys. I'm going to go back to vacation, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.